It's 6 p.m. on a Monday here in Korea. Welcome to our newscast. I'm Daniel Che. Let us begin with the headlines. Over in Laos, South Korea's foreign minister tries to explain the necessity of the THAAD missile defense system to his Chinese counterpart, who said the decision has eroded their mutual trust. Meanwhile, the latest meeting between Beijing and Pyongyang seems to suggest the two traditional allies are mending their frayed ties. In a span of a week, 3 deadly acts of violence are carried out by migrants in Germany. The latest involves a 27-year-old Syrian asylum seeker who killed himself while attempting to set off a bomb at a music festival. The scorching temperatures in Korea have already led to several cases of heat-related illnesses around the country. Relief will come eventually, but it looks like we'll still be feeling the heat well into next month. North Korea and China's foreign ministers held their first bilateral talks in 2 years on the sidelines of the ASEAN Regional Forum, the only security forum that the North Korean delegation regularly attends. The beginning of their meeting was open to the media in what's being seen as a rare gesture, and the two ministers appeared to be boasting about their relationship. Beijing's top diplomat Wang Yi congratulated his North Korean counterpart Ri Yong-ho for taking the foreign minister post, upon which Ri said he is thankful for the congratulatory message Wang had sent earlier. The two agreed to make an effort to enhance their bilateral ties, and according to a North Korean official who spoke to South Korean reporters, the meeting took place as part of normalizing communication between the longtime allies. There has not been a meeting between the two Koreas in Laos, nor is one known to be planned. China's top diplomat made some strong complaints about Seoul and Washington's decision to station the THAAD missile defense system in the nation. South Korea's foreign minister, in response, explained why the U.S. missile defense system is vital to national security. Lee Ji-won looks into the diplomatic tension.
Seoul and Beijing's top diplomats held bilateral talks on the sidelines of the security meetings in Laos this week. China's foreign minister Wang Yi told his Korean counterpart Yoon Byung-se that the South Korea-U.S. decision to station the U.S. missile defense system THAAD on the peninsula has put a dent in their relationship.
South Korea's recent behavior has inflicted harm on the long-standing basis of mutual trust.
Wang had agreed to Yoon's proposal for a bilateral meeting, saying that given their ties, communication had to be maintained. He was also hoping to hear what actions South Korea would take to protect the relationship. During the meeting, Yoon explained to Wang the necessity of THAAD, saying it's the government's responsibility to protect its people. He was also said to have reassured Wang the system won't affect third countries in any way, and that despite the difficulties between the two countries, their close relationship will be maintained.
The closer bilateral ties get, there can be many challenges. Because of the deep foundation we have built, I don't think the challenges cannot be overcome.
Experts say the potential for economic retaliation from China is unlikely, as it would hurt China's exports and its desire to be seen as a global economic leader. But they also stress that bilateral working-level talks need to be continued to alleviate the tension between the two countries.
Despite the request from Chinese President Xi Jinping, South Korea still decided to station THAAD on its territory. And so it's somewhat expected that China is expressing such strong complaints on the issue. Therefore, Korea need not respond too harshly. Instead, it needs to explain the decision to China and talk it through to help China save face in the international community.
Meanwhile, China on Sunday released the first footage of a test of its missile defense system, showing the successful interception of an incoming missile. Experts believe the test is China's way of expressing its discontent with the THAAD decision and a demonstration of its ability to counter the system. Lee Ji-won, Arirang News.
Other than fears of health risks, there is a new concern regarding the THAAD deployment, whether Seoul and Washington will be sharing information obtained from the radar of the American missile defense system with Tokyo. Kim Hyun-bin provides some data that should provide some reassurance to these people who are fearing for the worst.
Seoul and Washington say they will not share with Tokyo the information obtained from the THAAD missile defense system to be stationed in South Korea. The remarks come amid speculation that the system will eventually become part of the larger missile defense system operated by the U.S. and Japan. A South Korean government official said Monday that under a trilateral agreement with the U.S. and Japan, South Korea is obligated to share information on North Korea's nuclear and missile tests with Japan, but that the information from the THAAD radar won't go to Tokyo. Another official pointed out that it won't be effective to share information on an incoming missile in its terminal phase. The deployment has raised concerns among Seongju residents about the electromagnetic waves emitted by the THAAD radar. The Defense Ministry on Monday reiterated the system poses no health risks.
The THAAD radar will be on high ground and far away from the closest village. The radar beam will be emitted at a 5-degree angle or higher, so it'll do no harm to humans or the environment.
The spokesperson emphasized that the electromagnetic waves emitted by THAAD are higher than that of the Patriot system, but lower than the Green Pine radar system, both of which are currently in operation in South Korea. The military showed the Patriot and Green Pine system to reporters earlier this month, taking several electromagnetic wave readings from 30 to 100 meters away. The readings were a tad higher than normal, but the military assured the public the system poses no health risk. Kim Hyun-bin, Arirang News.
Over at the National Assembly, the country's three main political parties have called on the senior presidential secretary for civil affairs to step down. Kim Young-gil turns the spotlight on the official at the center of a high-profile corruption scandal.
The ruling Saenuri Party has demanded the resignation of Woo Byung-woo, the senior presidential secretary for civil affairs, who is caught up in corruption allegations.
The allegations surrounding Woo Byung-woo, the senior presidential secretary for civil affairs, are snowballing. Although he might think it's unfair, he cannot maintain his position as a top public official.
The lawmaker added that even if the allegations against Woo are proven false, he should still resign because of the burden the case is placing on the president. The ruling party appears to want to avoid hurting public sentiment or being seen as defensive ahead of its national convention in early August, where it is scheduled to choose new leadership. Woo is facing multiple allegations of corruption, including that he asked online gaming company Nexon Korea to buy real estate owned by his in-laws. He is also accused of providing secret legal counsel for a jailed businessman and helping his son get special treatment during his military service. The two main opposition parties also urged Woo to resign in order to help the administration turn its focus back to state affairs, and so the prosecution can conduct an impartial investigation into the allegations against him.
It's not right for the top presidential secretary to maintain his post when the ruling party is also urging him to step down.
President Park Geun-hye started her summer vacation on Monday, but Woo is still working at the presidential office. Everybody is saying Woo should resign, except the people working at the presidential office.
The opposition parties also called on President Park to conduct a full cabinet reshuffle and change how she runs state affairs. Kim Young-gil, Arirang News.
Following the announcement that it will voluntarily halt sales of more than 30 models, Volkswagen was given the chance to clearly clarify its position to the Korean government at a hearing on Monday. Whether the ban goes through will be decided within a week. Here's Kim Hae-sung with the latest on the German automaker's predicament.
Audi Volkswagen Korea appeared at a closed-door hearing held by Korea's Environment Ministry on Monday. Johannes Tammer, managing director of Audi Volkswagen Korea, along with other senior executives and 9 lawyers representing the case, attended the 1.5-hour-long hearing at the National Institute of Environmental Research in Incheon, west of Seoul, to explain the carmaker's position on the government's push to suspend some of its car models. This comes 3 days after the automaker announced that it will voluntarily halt sales of 32 models starting Monday. The Korean government has been moving to enforce a sales ban on the vehicles in question, including the Golf, the Jetta TDI, the Audi A6, and other diesel and gasoline models from the group, saying test documents for emissions and noise levels were fabricated to win over certifications.
We would like to sincerely apologize for causing the controversy. We will fully explain our position and closely cooperate with the Ministry of Environment.
The German carmaker denied any manipulation of emission levels, but according to the Korean government, it did acknowledge making an error on test documents.
How can there be a mistake on test documents while no manipulation was involved? We will look into the matter and decide in about a week whether to order a sales suspension or not.
If the certifications of certain cars are revoked, the automaker will not be able to sell those models in Korea until they are renewed. Kim Hae-sung, Arirang News.
Two more deadly attacks made headlines in Germany since Sunday, adding to the string of events that have disrupted the country over the past week. There are new developments on the investigation into the Munich shooting and the Ansbach bombing. Here's our Hwang Woo-jun.
A 27-year-old Syrian asylum seeker killed himself and injured 12 others after setting off a bomb outside an open-air music festival in the city of Ansbach near Nuremberg on Sunday. The BBC reports, citing the Bavarian Interior Minister, that the man set off the blast after he was refused entry into the festival. It's the third attack in the state of Bavaria in a week, following the shooting rampage in Munich on Friday and the axe attack on a train on Tuesday. It is also the third major act of violence carried out by migrants in a week, after a 21-year-old Syrian migrant killed a woman with a machete in Heutlingen near Stuttgart on Sunday, which local authorities are investigating as a crime of passion.
After what just happened in Munich and today in Reutlingen, all the things you hear about, it's very disturbing when you know that such things can happen so close to you.
Meanwhile, the Munich police have arrested a 16-year-old Afghan friend of David Ali Stonboli, the 18-year-old German-Iranian gunman who killed 9 people at a Munich shopping center on Friday. According to a police statement, the 16-year-old has been detained on suspicion of being a possible tacit accomplice for knowing about the planned attack but failing to report it. Hwang Woo-jun, Arirang News.
And this just coming in, another shooting incident over in the United States. According to multiple sources, including NBC, Fort Myers Police Department report at least 2 people were killed and more than a dozen others are reportedly injured in a parking lot of a nightclub in Florida at around 12:30 a.m. Eastern Time. We'll have more details in our later newscast. Moving on to other stories now, the International Olympic Committee concluded that Russian athletes will not be banned from the upcoming Rio Olympics. To this decision, the world's anti-doping agency expressed disappointment, saying the decision undermines Olympic principles. Oh Jung-hee has the full story.
The International Olympic Committee announced on Sunday that a blanket ban will not be imposed on Russia for next month's Olympic Games in Rio. Instead, the IOC said it'll leave it to individual sports governing bodies to decide if athletes fulfill the requirements to participate in the Games. This decision comes a week after the World Anti-Doping Agency called for a blanket ban in response to an independent report that suggested a widespread state-sponsored doping of Russian athletes at the 2014 Sochi Winter Olympics.
Again, natural justice requires that an individual must at least have the chance to rebut these allegations and this reversal of the presumption of innocence.
Bach also stressed that Russian athletes will have to meet strict criteria to ensure their participation in Rio.
No, this is not about expectations. This is about doing justice to clean athletes all over the world. And in this way, we protect clean athletes because of the high criteria we set for all the Russian athletes.
But the World Anti-Doping Agency expressed disappointment regarding the committee's decision, saying that state-sponsored doping in Russia seriously undermines the Olympic principles of clean sports and clean athletes. Meanwhile, the World Taekwondo Federation announced on Monday at a press conference in downtown Seoul that no hurdles were found for Russian athletes to participate in Rio on its side. Oh Jung-hee, Arirang News.
The World Meteorological Organization predicts that this summer just might be the hottest on record in the last 100 years, and Korea is no exception. The trend has resulted in several illnesses, but fortunately no deaths here in the nation, and the scorching hot weather is expected to continue well into August. For details, let's turn to our Kim Jong-soo.
Summer has arrived in Korea a little earlier than usual, resulting in several reports of heat-related illnesses nationwide. The Jeollabuk-do Fire Safety Headquarters announced Monday that more than 14 people in the province have collapsed from heat-related illnesses since June. It is also reported that 3 people were hospitalized in June, followed by 11 in July. The latest patient was a 27-year-old man who works at an incinerator in Jeonju. Fortunately, there have not yet been any deaths. Fire safety officials have urged people to stay indoors when outside temperatures are over 30 degrees Celsius. The Korea Meteorological Administration predicts that the current heat wave will continue through the first week of August, with the highs likely to surpass the 24 to 26 degree range recorded during the same month last year. The daily average for the entire country from July 1st to 20th was 24.3 degrees, which was 0.5 degrees higher than the same period last year. It was also the 3rd highest reading since 1973. The KMA says the average temperatures for the month of August will also surpass the 25.1 degree average recorded back in 2015. The agency has heat wave warnings in place for most of the south, and on Monday morning it extended that to include Gwangju and Jeollanam-do province. It has also issued another heat wave advisory for the capital city of Seoul. Kim Jung-soo, Arirang News.
That's our newscast for this hour. We'll have more updates at 10 p.m. Korea time. Thanks for watching.